Let's talk now about the last special capture in Chessckers. This is one of the most complicated rules, well, I think the most complicated rule in the entire game. So if you got this, you got everything. So, as you can recall, checkers has a row of kings in its middle row, and you can get more by reaching the end of the board. Now, kings, you may currently think, are only useful at the top of a stack, because that means the whole stack can move backwards, right? But kings are also useful in one other way. Every king is able to sacrifice his kingship. He can depromote himself to a pawn to do one special move, and that is to move orthogonally. So let's say I have a king right over here. What can he do? Well, he can depromote himself and move like that. There is no other way to move sideways or vertically as checkers without losing kings. I can also move backwards, move forwards, left. Oh, if it's king, I can move left, or if it's king, I can move right. Pawns can never move orthogonally. Only kings can. Now you might be wondering, what about stacks? How does that work? That would be a wonderful question. If I have two kings in a stack, well, I can depromote one of the kings, any king is my choice, to move. But I can also depromote both of them. And now I can move two orthogonally, meaning I can do that. Hey, that's pretty powerful. Let's say, for example, I'm attacking, let's say I'm a 3-stack, right? And I'm attacking the king. Let's say I'm all kings here. I'm a 3-stack full of kings. I'm attacking the king right now, right? Now let's say the pawn's over here. Well, chess has one option. They move the king here. Okay, well now the king's safe, right? Well, wrong. Because now I can do this. I can lose one of my kings. I only have 2 kings in the stack now. And I can move here. Now I'm threatening the king again. And if you know your chess, this is called a skewer. Because if I'm also threatening the queen behind the king. So if the king moves here, I capture the queen now. That is the power of orthogonal movement. But what's very expensive to do as checkers, but still extremely powerful, is orthogonal capturing. Let's say there's a pawn here. Well, how can I capture it? Well, I have 1, 2, 3 kings in this stack. That means I can flip 2 of them to move 1, 2 squares and land here. The pawn dies. But I've also lost 2 kings doing it. So you can honestly argue that I just made a losing trade. Now I can get kings back by reaching the edge of the board, but that could be very difficult depending on how well chess is playing. Another option, you don't have to capture by farther, is I could capture with flipping the entire stack over and moving 1, 2, 3 to here. That puts me in a very nice position because now I can also eat the rook the next turn, because now I'm threatening that by normal movement. Orthogonal movements and captures are very risky because you lose mobility, you lose your kings doing them, and you only start with 4 of each color. And getting a lot of kings together takes a lot of time and means your stack is very expensive. If you use this too overzealously, you may just give chess your game. But this is a very powerful movement that can be used to extreme effect. Chess can stop this, for the most part, by preventing checkers from reaching the end of the board. Because their starting kings alone generally are not going to they're very far away from each other, and just making a giant stack with a bunch of kings is generally going to give chess too much time. So this is a very hard thing to pull off, but it can be extremely powerful, and is one reason you don't want to let's say, imagine like a school bus full of checker pieces, a bunch of pawns, which something like this can be formed. It is a strategy in this game. I don't personally use it, but I have friends who do. Make a giant piece like this, and then you can just shoot it off to the edge of the board like that. And what happens is all those pawns in this giant stack now become kings. And the very fun thing about this is because I have, how many kings in the stack? Well, let's count, because it's big. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can move 7 squares. So I can jump over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could suicide capture the entire back rank other than the knight and the rook. Now, I would die, but so would all these pieces, including the king. This is a very rare move. Generally, if this is happening, chess is making some sort of mistake. But it's something to be careful of.
And I realized when I filmed this, I forgot to mention something really important. When you promote a piece to king as checkers, you can only promote a piece that began its turn as a pawn. That means if you depromote a king and then land at the end of the board, it's going to stay as a pawn. That means that if you move a king, a single king or a stack of kings or whatever, and you depromote all of them and they land on the edge of the board, you are going to end up with pieces that literally cannot move because they're only allowed to move forwards, but they can't move forwards.